35 years after the Terrafuji, echoing in the Chamford stands, and United fans came to see that game, learn from their mistakes in the past, and a praiseworthy tradition was born at the Old Trafford Century Stadium. Nearly 4 centuries later, another 7 failures, another humiliation, and another lousy performance. This time against Tottenham Hotspur. It ended with a shout of support from Strang Post stand. At SAO, the atmosphere at the Theatre of Dreams, it's not as dark as many people think. Is it because of the Minutions? I'm so used to Perspective 7. There is hope or something behind it. Maybe the songs that were sung after those 90 minutes of pain, not for current operation, not for soulless players, dressed in the sacred red. Instead, they're for Manchester United themselves, clubs and their meanings. And especially in this age of competition, history is the most important thing to keep. But the chants weren't aimed at the hot seat. Is swayed violently by the Dutch coach, despite their private suspicions about him. No AI in the stadium sing up 10 virtual hacks. Even though there is a very different noise on social media. There was a lot of anger on Sunday night. Long-lasting and very targeted. On social networking sites, they all point to a name. It's Black Eric Tan. People watching remotely on television know exactly what is needed. SA fired the manager. He's not qualified. He's not going anywhere. Let's bring someone else in. Yes, as except Carrick Sawgate. Inside Old Trafford, there's no verbal rebellion. Very peaceful, no insistence. Shout for SA waste Black Eric Tan. In the stands, there's just the quiet sound of sighs. To see the next pathetic performance, down in the yard, that doesn't mean there's no dissatisfaction. People who spend most of their income to buy a ticket, watch live matches of the Red Devils, the clinking of tongues, the sighing, and tell the guy sitting next to me, that was United's worst performance since. It's also new. That was against Liverpool a few weeks ago. It's everywhere. There's definitely a chorus. During the Lau break, it's an explosion of 7. And it can be argued that there's no need to say anything else. That the pictures of the returned, before the final whistle of the match, has spoken loudly enough about the rapid disintegration of faith in the bald man. From the Netherlands. But again, let me repeat, there is no time. There's a collective criticism. Straight to the coach. It's something that will never be heard at Old Trafford. People who actually come to see the games have long tried their best to follow the instructions of the master Salaf Gosen, who defined it very specifically. His role in the retirement speech. In this stadium, your job is to support the coach, not criticize them. Peter's view is the patience of most of the fans with him. In bad times in the past, it's clearly been rewarded. Banner fluttering at Skopro and in autumn 1908-9 has long been a symbol of appreciation. The mistake of the fans. Imagine that if the club does what the mob demands. And said RA at the time. Tarafi kind of let SA waste Fergie away. Think about it, what United and the world of football will miss. So, even in the darkest times of David Moyes, in her most boring moments Louise van Gaal, in the chaos of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the home team fans did their best to follow Pacuzen's instructions and support their men, or at least sit still. Keep your mouth shut and keep your doubts to yourself. Here's the approach has long led people to claim contact with United confused when they're always criticizing my old club. On modern media channels of expression, they represent the ideology, want to turn the stadium into a furnace to the coaches. When the team doesn't play as expected, there's a growing disconnect among the fans who come to the field and people who are just watching on the small screen. It's a characteristic of modern football. This was proven at the Tottenham Stadium last week, when the entire South Stand chanting the name of Brandon Roshan in a way full of pride. A player who has recently been identified is a fan of London's cock. Defamation on social media. It's also at Anfield, even in the darkest moments of his tenure. Roy Hassan, if the cup never openly sing that, you should be removed, no matter how insistent the keyboard warriors are. But nowhere is it clearer. Is in Manchester United's home games, where faith is something planted by the old father. Honorable sleep. But does the atmosphere hold up? Cover up the fact that The third season of Ten Hag is on the verge of collapse. The support for Erik ten Hag has evaporated completely after the worst of his tenure at Man United. Luis van Gaal in office for 2 years. Jose Mourinho in charge for 2 years and 5 months before he left at the end of 2018. He also signed a new contract earlier that year. Lego Naso Skyer manager for 2 years and 10 months. He also signed another contract a few months before losing his job. Now SAO for Erik ten Hag. After 2 years and a few months in the role, he is the head coach of Manchester United. Sunday is the worst time under the Dutch coach. It was worse than a 4-0 defeat at Palace in May of the previous season. His team was devastated by the injury. But not now. 7 BA defeats not on Sunday. It means United. They lost consecutive matches in the Premier League without scoring a goal at home. For the first time since 2000, there are no more than 200. Ten Hag, yes, after a review in the summer. His contract was extended for another year until 2026 after achieving high performance. After the AB Cup final, we beat Manchester City. These seasons have started badly. Your concerns about the injury are real. In the previous season, when the defense line is destroyed, but now he's launching a squad. It was built after 3 years of rule, worth hundreds of millions. And like all the previous coaches, they no longer seem strong enough to challenge after the 2 years in power. Forget the title. The current team seems to be strong enough. The only match in the Premier League. And when United meet a great team, like Liverpool or Sport, they can collapse very quickly. Opponents note that Manchester United, they can be defeated in the first few seconds. In all cases, the fans' support for the coach. That support has evaporated thanks to victory in the NBA Cup final. Monumental. It is considered one of the most important results in United history. A new ownership structure, and the new activity was well received during the transfer period. It's about who comes and who goes. United is a very big club. It's also under a lot of pressure, but they're not giants. The only football in the world under pressure to win every game. Billionaire fiber Jim Ratcliffe. I often ask fans to be patient. And as I said, still there will be no golden screams Ten Hag out, because that's the culture of the United States. But 7 failures is not their culture. Once again the whole world is asking the question, if SA discharges Black, who will be brave to replace you? And how long will the Red Devil? We can go back to the position we were in.